Hey troops, welcome back. Today we're going to go over the minimum standard requirements for breast thermography. Now the minimum standard requirements were set forth by all the thermography studies, including and especially the mass study conducted by Dr. Hoppins, where he imaged 100,000 women in 5 years. Before we get started in the minimum standard requirements required for breast thermography, I'm going to teach you how to read or understand your thermogram. When you look at the screen, the right breast is actually on the left side of the screen. It's a mirror image. You're also going to see a color image. With color images, what we're looking for is a symmetrical, smooth pattern. When you see something that is unusual or abnormal, you're going to see an asymmetrical or uneven color pattern. Most importantly, what we discuss in breast thermography is the black hot or the reverse gray. This clearly shows vascular patterns. Again, if you have a vascular pattern, it's better if it's bilateral or on both sides or both breasts versus a unilateral or just one breast. Also, we'll be looking at the temperature differences between the breasts. This includes the nippler delta T. So that's a quick explanation on how to read your thermogram. Keep that in mind when I start going over all the examples that I will show you for the minimum standard requirements in breast thermography. The first thing we're going to discuss is the TH score. Each breast is graded on a thermographic score, a TH score. The score is between 1 and 5. 1 being normal and 5 being severely abnormal. What is important to realize is that each breast is given a score. Now, many thermography clinics use abnormal or normal. This is not acceptable. Each breast has to have a score. TH1 is normal or non-vascular. TH2 is vascular symmetrical. TH3 is equivocal. TH4 is abnormal, and TH5 is severely abnormal. Now, most women, because of the introduction of estrogens into our diet and lifestyle, are going to be graded TH2 and some at TH3. Now, most of those TH3s will fall back down to a grade of TH2 with a repeat thermogram. So please always go back at your scheduled time for your repeat thermogram. As stated, each breast is graded independently. However, bilateral breast cancer is very rare. It's only 5%. So a score of TH3, TH4, or TH5 can only be given to one breast, as that is the breast that is at risk or is concerning. However, I have seen in many uncertified clinics a score of TH3 given to both breasts. This is not acceptable. Another requirement for breast thermography is the nippler delta T. This is the temperature difference between both of the nipples. 87% of all cancers will have a nippler delta T, so it is imperative that you get your nippler delta T recorded in your report. With breast thermography, you get to see the entire breast and the underarm where the lymph is located. So it is imperative when you're cooling down to have your arms above your head. This will lift your breast off your abdomen and keep your underarm cool. The skin reflects heat, so remember, keep your arms up the whole time when you're being cooled down for your images. Another requirement for breast thermography is what's called the cold stress challenge. The room where you're being imaged should be kept cool at 68 degrees Fahrenheit or less. You should be undressed from the waist up with your hands on your head. Now, it is recommended to use an ice pack or ice water to also cool you down. However, it's not imperative on the initial, but it is imperative on a repeat of a score of TH3, a TH4, or a TH5. In this example, I'm going to show why it's required to have a room set at 68 degrees Fahrenheit or below. At this temperature, your blood vessels should constrict. Blood vessels for an abnormality will not constrict as they do not have a nerve supply. As you can see in the before images, the color pattern has warm tones of red and orange. After 10 minutes of cooling down, they turn blue and green, and that's when it's imperative to take the images. A personal health risk is tallied for each woman getting breast thermography. These numbers are taken from the information from your intake form, so it is imperative to fill this out correctly. The Personal Health Risk Index determines your risk for breast cancer. It is based on a 5-year study with 250,000 women. It was ran by the American Cancer Society, the American Radiology Society, and the National Cancer Institute. What they determined was your risk for breast cancer. As you get older, your risk will increase. It is also the age of your first child. Now, you do get points deducted if you nurse your children. It is also determined by your race, weight, family history of breast cancer, and your exposure to birth control pills and hormone replacement therapy. This is all tallied up and included in your report under breast health risk. The Personal Breast Health Risk Index is independent of breast thermography, but it is included in your report so you can determine what your risk is. Another requirement for breast thermography is what is called major and minor signs, or primary and secondary signs. As I discussed earlier, black hot images are imperative for breast thermography because cancers tend to form certain vascular patterns. Qualified interpreters know what these patterns are and will include these in your report. Now, it's the temperature difference between the breasts in these major and minor signs that may increase your risk or may increase your TH score. So please be sure your interpreter knows their major and minor signs and include these in your report. One of the reasons of the subpar performance by many breast thermography clinics in the United States is the interpretation. Now, Dr. Hobbins would teach physicians on a weekend course, and then he would review 100 thermograms. What he has regretfully realized that this was not enough time, not enough reports to review. And unfortunately, many of his students actually changed the interpretation model without any studies, without any statistical analysis. As you know, it is imperative to have a TH score for each breast. So please avoid the uncertified clinics that are just reporting normal or abnormal. Now, as I stated, many of Dr. Hobbins' students changed the interpretation model. Many of them no longer even look at black hot. As we stated before, you have to have black hot to look at vascular patterns because cancers tend to form specific patterns. As a woman, I realized the importance of completely understanding the thermography interpretation model in order to write qualified reports. That is why I've spent 5 years not only studying breast thermography, but how to treat at-risk women. It should be noted that a radiologist does not attend a weekend seminar, that he actually has an extensive education, and that we should demand that in breast thermography interpretation. Another important issue to discuss is camera optical line. A camera of 180 or 240 is not high resolution and is not detailed enough for the breast. Many uncertified clinics use this camera because it's cheap. It's around $12,000. You want to look for a clinic that is using a camera of 480, or we use a camera that has 600 optical line. This gives you the most detail, and this will determine your risk. Alright troops, so those are the minimum standard requirements that you should look for in your neighborhood breast thermography clinic. Now remember, go to Women's Academy of Breast Thermography and look for qualified locations near you. They will meet all these minimum standard requirements and give you the highest quality breast thermography available. Thanks for tuning in, troops. Have a great day. Hey troops, it only takes one to start a revolution. Spread the word. Show your support for breast thermography and breast health with the I Heart TT sticker. Flash your TTs everywhere and then post it on our Facebook page.